and welcome to Hypothetically Intentional, where we ask the question, what if we set intentions with everything we do? I'm your host, Michelle Albers, and today I have Linda Manning with me of Get Inner Clarity. Welcome, Linda.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I am really excited for this conversation. We always start with setting an intention, and I asked you if you would be willing to set it for today, and you graciously said yes, so let's have it.
Okay, well, my word of the week is delight.
Ooh.
Yeah, isn't that a fun one?
That.
So my intention is that you and I have a delightful conversation and that our audience, who's ever listening, also gets uplifted and feels like this is a delightful use of their time.
That you're speaking my language. This is awesome. We've never met. We've never even had a conversation before.
I know, that's going to be fun.
I'm excited to be on the mic with you today. Tell me a little bit about Get Inner Clarity, but really tell me about you.
Well, my journey, I've been on a spiritual path for a really long time, many, many years. And it really started when I was quite young because in my 20s, I just felt really empty. I really, in retrospect, realized that I was such a people pleaser that I didn't even know who I was. And, if I was having a conversation with you back then, I would be trying to read your mind to figure out what you wanted so that I could say that or do that. And I think that helped with increase my intuitive abilities. So that's the plus side. But it left me really unsure of myself. Yeah. But there was some call that I had. There was something that said I really wanted to connect to something greater than myself. And so I started looking at different ways to do that.
That's amazing. Where did it take you first? I'm just diving right in.
Yeah, go for it.
I had the same, I understand your story, what you're saying there. I had very similar experiences in my 20s. So where did you start? Where did you land first?
Yeah. So I was working, I was really interested in becoming, at that time, I wanted to be a clinical therapist. And so I was trying to get a few years of experience and then go to grad school. And I was working at a company that did outreach family counseling. So that means I went to people's homes and they were mostly court ordered. They didn't actually want to be in counseling. So it was a very educational experience. I learned a lot. And a lot of the families had alcoholism in them. And so even though I don't come from an alcoholic family, my manager suggested I go to Al-Anon. And I walked in the doors of Al-Anon and they were talking about let go and let God. And it was like that spoke to me because I was trying to control my life and it wasn't going very well. I was not having the friendships or the love life or the living situation or the job. None of those things that I was trying to navigate or manage were actually working out too well. And so I started to chant. I have a 45-minute drive to work and it's been 45 minutes going, let go and let God, let go and let God. And just trying to stop controlling my life and allow something, that first step, we admit that we're powerless in something greater than us, right? And so I started to align to, okay, there's a higher power and I can let go.
Wow. Yeah. So, reflecting back, did you find that letting go did allow? What was that experience like? Because control is a really challenging thing to navigate, to release some of that or all of that, or at least refocus it.
Yeah, I think for me, again, not being very successul in all my control probably helped, right?
That's fair.
when you're failing in control, you might as well try something different. And maybe other people can relate to that, right? We try, but it doesn't always work out. But I also think it required, for me anyway, believing in something. And I'm very agnostic about what. People can talk about God or Jesus or Mary. They can talk about divine or source or I don't care what the word is. But I think it's harder to let go if you don't believe there's something to catch you. If you really believe that you're truly alone in the universe, then what are you letting go to? But if you start to connect to something that has our best interest, and to me, the core quality of, again, whatever you call it, is love.
Yeah.
And so if you believe that there's a loving presence that can help you, then it's a lot easier to let go, because there's something that will guide you that's beyond your own limited perspective.
Yeah. So did you find that when you leaned into that, when you leaned into the higher power or the higherness that is love, right? That exudes the qualities of love. Did you find that that created a softening within you and opened the door for self love too?
It's a good question. And for me, it was a multi-step process, I would say. Like, I wouldn't say that was like my immediate that I went to self-love right away.
Yeah, yeah.
First, it was just like, can I believe? Because I was brought up Jewish, but it was very much more like I didn't feel the spiritual aspect to it. Like I related to it as a culture, but I didn't necessarily feel the God part of it so much.
Yeah.
So this was really an opening for me to actually even believe that there was something greater. So that was sort of step one. But
Yeah.
then I realized that I wanted to get to know me. I came to that realization that I didn't have my own opinions. And some of that came through relationships, to be honest, like dating men who didn't treat me that great. And, I definitely believe we teach people how to treat us.
Oh,
So,
I say
right?
that.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
And so what am I teaching them? I'm teaching them to not treat me well. Why? Because I don't stand up for myself. Why? Because I don't even know who I am.
Yeah.
And so I took a kind of radical approach. I not know, no, not everyone can do that, which is I quit my job, which was a terrible, if you can imagine this, like court ordered, very difficult families, paid terrible. I would drive by McDonald's on my way to work and see the open signs. They pay more at McDonald's. So
Oh my
I'm like
gosh.
in poverty wages, right? So I quit my job and I packed a backpack and I went traveling by myself around
Wow.
Europe. And that was very frightening. Like I'm a very social person. I was quite nervous to do that. And this is before the internet. So it's not like I could, reach out to my friends. It was like, you're on your own.
Yeah.
But by being on my own, by traveling on my own, by having to decide every day, literally every day, like, where am I going to stay? What country am I going to go to? What am I going to eat? What am I going to do? I slowly started to get my own opinions. I slowly started to learn me.
Well, and not having the distraction of people who you knew that you were trying to please. Like there was
Exactly.
no one to please but you. But you had
Right.
to discover and uncover who that was.
Exactly. And
That's
so
amazing.
So there were days where, like, because of loneliness, I would attach myself to maybe another traveler, another group. And what I noticed was like the people pleasing might start up again, but it bothered me now. Now I was like, wait a second, that's not what I want to do. And so I traveled for 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah, which again, is like a gift. I'm so grateful because it transformed me. It really changed who I was because I learned myself.
Yeah. Okay, so you open to the concept, the idea, the belief, the truth, your truth, that there you are being divinely guided. Let's just say it that way.
Yep,
And
absolutely.
supported and held, right? So then what I mean, so you quit your job, traveled for 3 months, at least began the discovery process of who you are and how you want to show up in the world. Then where did you go next?
What happened?
I know. I love it. I love hearing people's journeys of how they came to like really to themselves, I guess.
So while I was traveling, I was sitting at a bar in Amsterdam writing an essay for a grad school application. So right before I left for Europe, I had gone to an open house for a grad school program. And honestly, this is how well thought out things were. I just didn't have another plan.
Yeah.
So I applied. And it was like, well, they seem to be having fun, and I'm definitely not having fun. And so I think I'll apply to this program. And I got in and then I got a scholarship. So then I was like, well, I guess I might as well go.
Yeah.
So
Hard to say no to that.
right. And I was literally in prayer. Again, I said, God, please help me figure out what I want to do with this degree by the time I finish it. Because I really didn't know. I was literally like, I just need to know. And it happened. Like it was like truly, in one of my first semesters, maybe the first semester, I took a course in training methods. And I loved it. And it was like, this is what I want to do. And I ran to the board that has the internships. And there's a paid internship in learning and development. And I got the internship and it just started me on this whole different career path of designing and teaching classes. inside corporations. And a lot of it was, I got to slip in a lot of my my spiritual beliefs just in sort of, corporate language, but it felt like such a great fit for me, and I loved it.
That's awesome.
At the same time, my spiritual voice didn't quiet down either. So now I've got a new career path. Great. But it was funny. Someone had introduced me to Reiki years earlier, and I went and had a Reiki session. I'm like, nah, didn't like do much for me. I felt the warmth and then all of a sudden, literally like out of the blue, one day I said, I need to get Reiki certified like this weekend, which if any of your listeners want to get Reiki certified, I can tell you that is not actually a great approach. Like, you want to actually research who you're getting certified with and not necessarily make a completely unthought out, spontaneous decision. But that is what I did. And so I found someone and I got certified that weekend in level 1. And then I did nothing with it for about a year. And then I happened to be in a different building that I'd never been in before. And there was a sign that said that they did Reiki groups every week. And I was like, oh, that was like a year later. And I was like, oh, I want to try that. And so I started going like every week. And then I did a second time a week. And I really started. And then I did level 2 training. And then, so I was really through that learning to feel energy and learning to read people in a different way. It was really fascinating. And there was, like, maybe, I don't know if you had this experience, Michelle, but, at first you doubt it. You're like, oh gosh, like, oh, I'm probably just making it up. Oh, that doesn't, how would I know that? Right. That's how it started. But then I'd like dare to say something and it would get confirmed. Right. It's like, oh, well, wow, maybe I wasn't making that up. Maybe I'm actually picking up information. So it was quite a journey. And then again, in my perhaps not well thought out process, ended up doing a weekend Reiki master training. And it was an amazing weekend, super powerful, but it, again, I would say in retrospect, it kind of blew my whole energy protection wide open. I was elevated so fast in my vibration that I didn't quite know how to handle it. And so I started to have like all these weird things happen to me. Like I would trip over nothing and I would get sick and I would pick up people's feelings. And so I went to someone who actually suggested, believe it or not, to hold a flashlight over my head and use that to create an energy, like a protection of light around me. And instantly everything stopped. All of these like symptoms I was having went away. So that was like a powerful moment for me to say, there is something going on here. Yeah. It is not in my head. This is like, there's some beings or something that I'm picking up on.
Yeah. I love what you said about being mindful of like how and where you choose to do trainings, Reiki or not, right? Like as a Reiki teacher, when you were talking about level 3, all I could think is, well, it sounds like they missed a pretty important piece about like protecting yourself and grounding so that you don't trip over nothing and like actually, manage your own energy within being a catalyst and a channel for Reiki healing. Oh, that's so fascinating. So you have just explored, well, what I heard in the story so far is that you were open and willing and able to be exploratory in just like, oh, here's a divine seed. Let me just go ahead and take a step toward that. Oh, here's another one. Well, let me say yes to that. Oh, look, here's a thing that I kind of really can't say no to. Maybe I ought to try that. And then really just sort of trusting, albeit maybe sometimes hasty, according to what you were saying, but it led you somewhere. It got you here,
That's such a good point. And I think it's such an important one because, even in my more advanced, I would say, spiritual exploration, I really believe the universe will often send us messages and see if we say yes to them and see if we'll take action. Yeah. And that's part of co-creatorship.
Yeah.
And I just did my own podcast. I have a podcast called Trust or Wisdom. And I just did a podcast recording this week, actually, on my path from like giving it all over to God to co-creatorship. It's been a journey.
Yeah.
Um,
So will you speak a little bit more? I'm just thinking about co-creatorship. I have my own version of like locked into what that means for me and how that shows up in the world. But I feel like, maybe not all of our listeners are necessarily speak all of this language. Will you just speak a little bit more deeply into what co-creation means for you?
sure. And so, if you don't mind, I'm going to just take a little journey to how I got to co-creatorship.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And so I started right with like let go and let God and that path. But again, even before that, I really started with who am I? And once I had that experience in Europe, I came back and I was really determined to like hold on to, and it definitely changed my relationships. It changed really my life, right? Once I knew who I was and would stick with it. And so then after all of that Reiki training, I ended up going to an energy healing school. Again, I got this message that it was my time, and I had looked at, some of you might be familiar with the Barbara Brennan School of Healing. I looked at the Barbara Brennan School of Healing. I went to a weekend workshop with her. And when I filled out the application, I just got a no.
Mm.
And I was super bummed out because I wanted to go. But again, we have to listen to our yeses, but we also have to listen to our no.
Sometimes those are harder.
Yeah, it's easier for me to listen to a yes than a no. But I was like, I'm getting a no. Okay. And so then someone that I was doing Reiki with told me about a different healing school. And I got the brochure. And as soon as I got the brochure, I was like, oh my God, this is my school. I got such a strong yes. And it was super late in the application process, all kinds of things. But I ended up going. And but before you could go, you had to do a 1 week workshop with them to see if it's the right fit and all of that. So I did that, and they were really anti-Reiki. I had just gone through all this Reiki training, and then I just had this like super weird experience kind of with this Reiki master's training. And so I was in a state of being unsure about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like, yeah, you really have to be careful, and you can get lined up with the wrong energy. And I was like, oh my God, what have I done? So that was a challenge, but the yes to that program was so strong, I went anyway. And part of what ended up evolving in that healing school evolved as I was there was really, it became more of a Sufi-based healing school. It's actually not what I signed up for, but it's what it became. And part of Sufism, so Sufism is the spiritual aspect of Islam. So like Kabbalah is kind of the spiritual aspect of Judaism. And part of what you do is you bow down, like you have your forehead, like you've probably seen people do the prayer, right? So you bow down, and there's something so strong and so powerful. I don't know if you've ever tried it, but I'd actually recommend just trying it. You don't have to, buy into any of the philosophy, but just to put your head on the ground, your forehead on the ground, and bow down to something greater. Mm-hmm. So even though I was like higher power and all that, this brought it to a different level where I was like, okay, I'm really surrendering. Mm-hmm. And I'm really asking to turn my life over to this, to source, to divine. And that was challenging too. Like, that's a different level of like, crap, what does that mean? And I felt like I spent all these years finding out who I was. I went to Europe and traveled by myself. I kept it going. I've like 7 years of like trying to figure out who I am, and now I'm supposed to give it up.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
The irony there,
such
right?
A struggle, right? Such a struggle. But I felt like there was something calling me to that next level that said like holding on again, because even with your own personality, there's still a level of control with that. And bowing down is like, I'm going to let go of control. And so I was in that practice, super challenging. Okay, I guess, what does that mean? I'm going to really turn over my, trust to this, something greater at a whole different level. And so that was my practice for a while of like really turning it over. And what does that mean? And, what are the messages to me? But in all of that too, part of that healing school was also really letting go of our personalities so we could hear from guidance from a higher source.
Yeah.
And so that was a lot of the work, was saying, like, I don't want to be the healer. I want to let the healing come through me.
Right.
And so how do I clear out? How do I heal myself and clear out me so that I'm actually coming from a higher place when I'm doing healing work? So that surrendering process was like huge, years in the making.
Yeah.
I always say I'm not a fast learner, but and so then I'm doing that for a long time, right? And I'm like doing healing sessions and I'm listening to the guidance and I'm just trusting what comes through me. And that was really hard at first. Like, I'm saying things and I don't even know what I'm going to say. I'm like letting myself in some ways be used by spirit to and it's fascinating. Like, I'm learning as much as they are. I'm like, oh, that was really interesting. Where did that come from?
Yeah.
So that was, it was actually a wonderful process. But then I was studying with a different teacher, and she was like, that next level is co-creatorship, where you are also bringing in, like, what do I know and what does divine know, and how do we kind of marry those together?
Yeah. So you're an
And
active participant
right,
in what's coming through or coming out or being created.
right.
Yeah.
And so, it's, so that's been my kind of flow and my process over the years, is like, first it's about me getting to know me, then it's about letting go of me,
Yeah.
right? And now it's about combining.
Yeah.
How do I bring in what I've learned, but also always, like, if there's, if there's any doubt, it's like, no, I'd rather bring in higher wisdom than I have.
Right.
And so part of that, though, when you're in that co-creatorship, means you commit to taking action.
Right.
So I can't just bow down and say, okay, God, divine spirit, whatever you want to call it, like, show me. I also, when I get a yes, then I'm committing to following through, to taking action, to doing whatever that yes leads me to, or a no for that matter.
Right. Well, and I mean, I guess this is how I understood what you were saying. And this might be more of a question than a statement, but I, it feels like like asking divine to show us is different than asking divine to tell us, if that makes sense. Because there's free will and choice in the show us. Like, something is revealed to us and then we, discern a action step, or we can choose not an action step in that too, right? But there's that free will piece. I think so many times when we're like, I guess the way I used to pray, I'll say, before my own journey, would be like, cross my fingers, hope, and just wait for it to happen. Versus, like, I get a choice in this. I have to be an active participant in this. I get to be an active participant in this. And divine isn't going to tell me what to do. They're just like, I'm going to be shown possibilities of what could be done. And then I'm engaged within that. So what I heard in what you were saying is there's a lot of free will and choice within it. But also it's like weird, because when I say that, it's almost like I'm taking away a piece of the divine layer of it. And to me, it doesn't feel that way at all. But I understand when I say it, it might feel a little bit less connected divinely. But to me, it actually feels more connected divinely, because it feels like, I don't know, more like love and support than just sort of being dictated to, like, this is what must be done, period, end of story.
Right. Yeah. No, you're really describing it so beautifully, Michelle. That's exactly how it feels. And so, yeah, I think it's not living from my personality. Like, I want this to happen, right? That's like my will be done.
Right. Not human only.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But it also isn't the same of like, okay, God, I mean, it is God, whatever you want to a certain degree. It's like, guide me. But I think it's more of a partnership.
Yes.
Where I'm being shown possibilities and I get to choose. It's more like the menu. Like, it's not like, Linda, you have to do this. It's like, Linda, you get to choose. What would you like?
Yeah.
And it's not coming from I feel like it doesn't come from my personality so much, but like my guidance. Like, I get to see, like, what vibrates for me.
Yeah.
What feels expansive for me. And then I get to follow through on that. And I think there really is it's like I will take the first step and then I will get support, but it's waiting for me to take the first step.
Yeah. Yes, that's beautiful. I love that so much. I think sometimes the I don't want to say tendency. I just the word is escaping me, but like there's this human condition where like taking that step is the hardest part, and like we wait for everything to line up and we tell ourselves, "Oh, it's not aligned yet. It's not aligned yet. It's not time." But it's like it's almost like if it doesn't feel uncomfortable, then like you missed it. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And
Yes. So it's so
that's not from
good.
judgment at all. That's
Yeah.
really just from a place of like I feel like we want it to be comfortable and we want this like 100% knowing. And it's like, but what if the step could be a million different directions? And it doesn't matter which one you take, it's still going to come with divine guidance. But it's the stagnancy that is maybe more of the like the problem, like the decision fatigue or whatever. Where
No,
we
that's such a great point. I love that because you're absolutely right. It's, I feel like divine doesn't wait till it's all perfect and lined up.
yeah.
Like we might want it to, but it's more of a, again, if you're in co-creatorship, it's
Yeah.
going to say, look, I'm going to give you some beautiful options and they're all good.
Right.
And so if you stay in paralysis of like, which is the best one? And believe me, I've been there. I totally
Oh
have
yeah.
empathy for anyone who's in that paralysis.
Yeah.
But in some ways, it doesn't matter. It's like just action in and of itself. Like when we started with, you know, with some delight or some other things, like there's a million wonderful things that we could start with. But that's a great one, right? And
Yeah.
so I spend less time trying to find the perfect answer than I used to. Like,
Yeah.
what's the perfect, exact right quality that I should bring in? And I hold it much lighter now and much more fun, and know that there's so many qualities. Like, what do I feel like today?
Yeah. And even just the energy of you saying those things is delightful, right? It's not so heavy of like, oh, is it the right time to take a step? There's not the
Right.
indecision there. It's just like this delight of let's play, let's dance, let's find out, let's just see what happens. But I think we can do that with more ease in our lives when we have that divine trust, when we trust that there is a divine guidance that's coming in, or there's a source that's willing to support us.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a beautiful thing. I told myself I had it for a long time and I didn't actually until I did. Right.
Right. Well, you always did, but you might not have believed it or connected to
Well,
it.
I didn't have the connection to it.
Yeah.
Right. It's like my journey just led me to the place where now I do, but I didn't start there, much like your story, right? Like I didn't start in the place where I had the connection. I thought I did, but I didn't know I didn't have it until I have this one. And now it's different. So I'm curious about, thank you for the co-creation like story. That was beautiful and a lovely example, lived example and otherwise of what that might look like and what that might feel like.
And believe me, like when I started to get into co-creatorship, like every stage I've been in resistance. I mean,
Oh, sure.
it's not like it's gone so smooth for me, right? Like in retrospect, it sounds all great, but I was like, wait, I can't be a co-creator. Like I'm supposed to be like bowing down. I'm supposed to be like, just in, like servitude almost to source. And
Mhm.
so it was like, it feels so, and that felt uncomfortable. Like being in servitude, I'm like, wait, I spent all this time finding myself. Now you want me to let it go? Are you kidding me? And now I'm like, wait, I've spent all this time letting go. Now you want me to co-create? Like what? So I have totally had resistance at every stage, just to be clear.
Yeah, I've never met anybody who doesn't.
Right. But it's like but sometimes you just have to choose, like, even with my discomfort,
Yes.
I'm going to step in anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So all of that, circling all the way back to the beginning when I introduced you, how did that lead you to get inner clarity? Your business, get inner
Right.
clarity. Tell
Get
me
inner
more about
clarity.
that and how you navigate life with others and support them in that journey. I'm assuming you support others in their journey of life.
Yeah. So it's fun. I'll just tell you about the name in a way. So I was on a dolphin swim trip, did one of those dolphin swim things in Bimini. And I was talking to my roommate and I couldn't figure out the name for my business. And I'm like, I just want some inner clarity. And I was like, huh. I was like, oh, I think I found the name. So, you never know how it'll come to you. And then I just changed it recently, believe it or not, from inner clarity to get inner clarity.
Oh, nice.
And there's something about the motion of that. There's something about the like, yes, you get to have that. That feels really powerful. So that's my latest inner personal transformation, like something inside me transformed that said, now it's get inner clarity. And then I feel like that's also what I can help people get. Like,
Yeah.
so anyway, so that's been kind of an exciting, fun, very recent transformation. And now I've forgotten the question.
Well, I'm curious about how do you support people in getting inner
Yeah.
clarity? Like what might that look like?
Right. So again, I got through that healing school. I went through that. I've been through other healing schools. Like I'm a junkie, really, is the truth. But for continuous growth, I'm always learning things. And so I work with people in different ways, and one of them is through guidance. Like I tap into their higher self, kind of my guides, and give channel messages.
Mm.
So that's one way that I work with people that's really fun. And it's partly fun for me because I literally have no idea what I'm about to say.
That's so fun.
And it's like I'm just in curiosity about what the message will be and how it will land for that person. So that's been kind of really fun, exciting journey for me of letting go, right? You have to really have a deep level of trust to allow that to happen.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, I feel like I want to pause here and point this out because I feel like it might help a listener somewhere out there. You went from control and showing up with people trying to match what they wanted from you.
Yep.
And now how you serve others is to go in open, blank slate, curious to receive what's divinely guided like through you to them. There's like this clinging attachment style control in what you described in the beginning in the people pleaser part. And then in this piece, it is full blown surrender and opening, almost like opening a door to an empty room that divine gets to fill, and then you get to filter it out. Like not even filter, but just like speak it out, share it with the other human.
That's such a great observation, Michelle. I love that.
Right? Like you're allowing divine to speak. Like you don't. This might sound, I don't mean this to sound standoffish, but like you don't care what the person wants to hear in the chair across from you. You care what is divinely meant for them. And you get to be the messenger of that. That's such a beautiful transformation. And I just wanted to pause and like put that out because I think sometimes like even to plant that seed for someone to be an observer of themselves, like, am I sitting across from this human trying to show up in a way that matches something that I can't even possibly know? Or am I showing up open and playful and curious about how we might engage and interact? And could that possibly be divinely guided? That's amazing.
Yeah. And curious is one of my favorite words. You just use that. Like, it's so much fun to come from curiosity. And I have no idea what I'm about to say. So that's kind of scary, to be honest. Like, it has been a completely easy transformation for me where I'm like, I hope this is meaningful to that person because I don't even know. Sometimes I don't know what I'm saying means to them, right? Like a lot of like, I'm saying stuff and I don't know how it's going to land for them because I don't know them. I don't know their life. But I just have to trust. It's a deep, deep level of trust. And I think that's been so much of my journey too, has been from, I don't trust anything to, okay, let go and let God. Can I trust? To like bowing down. And part of that, like the Sufi path was like really bowing down. You literally, forehead on the floor, bow down. Can I trust at that level? To can I trust I'm in co-creatorship? Can I trust that when I'm there, I'm still, I'm getting the right messaging to like allowing myself to be a channel for information.
Yeah.
So it's definitely been a process where each step is like a little bit scary. There's a more and more letting go of my personality, more and more letting go of what I think should happen, and more trust that the right thing will happen.
Do you ever find it challenging to sort of be in the world in your personality versus like when you're in with a client doing the work?
I'm quite, it's interesting, even for a long time, I have felt like I am somebody who I'm very grounded. Like I'm very grounded life. Like not all healers are super grounded. I'm quite grounded. So I have this kind of arch that I almost see like my feet are very much on the ground, and yet my spirit is very much kind of in the spirit world. And I toggle between those two worlds pretty easily. I think that's a challenge for some people. So I think I'm a very like grounded, realistic, I have 3 kids, I have a husband, like all the lifing things that have to get done, I do. And I also have like just such a passion, my heart, even as I'm talking to you, like my passion, my desire for connecting at a higher level to something beyond us is so strong that, I have to, like, it's not even, I mean, I guess it's a choice, but it almost feels like not a choice. Like it's such a, like it's like a driver to me of like connecting more and more to the divine.
Yes. Yes. And are you okay if I share what I'm assuming was a download? Is that
Sure.
okay?
Yes.
I'm not so sure you toggle. I think you may be in the place where you can exist in both at the same time. I do that too, where it's like, I don't have to toggle. Toggle is exhausting, but if I can show up grounded and in all of it, then that works. It doesn't work all the time. It's like not sustainable for every moment, but it's kind of like I don't toggle anymore. If I need both, I just get both, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I would agree. And I think sometimes, like, if you look at it percentage wise, right? Like
Okay.
sometimes I'm more
Yeah,
kind of, dealing with this life that we have. And then other times more, aligning to, it's always with me, but sometimes I'm
Yes.
kind of more like tuning the channel and going, okay, let's hear what that channel has to say.
Yeah. That's amazing. So, okay, so that's one way you work with people. Is there another? I mean, so that they would just book time with you and then you would sit and have a conversation?
Yeah, they would book
Okay.
time with me, and we could do again. So I do work a couple different ways, so people can have choices, right? But a channeling session is what I would call it, basically, and
Okay.
they can ask whatever questions they have. I say, come with any questions. I don't know them ahead of time. I don't need to know them because I am not the one answering them anyway.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and so that's actually super fun for me because I'm like, oh, how interesting! I didn't know that. Like on a personality level, I'm there. Like some people when they channel, they kind of leave. I don't. I'm still there, but I'm usually there like fascinated. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
that was cool.
That's amazing.
um, and so that's one way that I work. But then I also, again, with all of the healing work I've been doing for so many years, um, will be more where kind of I'm the healer, I'm present, but I'm kind of bringing in different kinds of things. What are some good examples? People come to me sometimes they're like struggling with something in their life, and so we work on it on a practical level, but then also like, what is that? What is spirit telling us, or what
Yes.
is your spirit telling you? Right? Like I don't always want to tell people when I channel, I'm telling. But I also really like to be in co-creatorship with the other person and help them figure out like what's spirit telling them. Because it doesn't have to come from me. I think we're all super, we're all connected and aligned, but some of us have given more permission than others.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I also help people open up their own intuition more and listen to their own voice because I'm not always going to be around. I want them to be empowered to do the right thing for themselves.
Yeah. So coaching, channeling, intuitive work, healing work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. I
That's
got
awesome.
certified as a coach a long time ago. So I actually do business coaching too. Like I'm in, and it's so much fun to weave the different things together.
Oh yeah.
Like I sort of bring my little spiritual wisdom in subtle ways into my business coaching, and then I can bring some of the practicality into my spiritual coaching. So there's some fun ways they play together.
Do you do things in person or virtual, or how does that work?
Um, I used to do in person, of course, all the time, and now I would say it's 90% virtual.
Okay.
So I live in the Boston area. I will occasionally see people, but most of the time it's by Zoom.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Works
great.
great.
That's just more accessibility.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how do people find you?
Mostly it's been word of mouth. So, and you can certainly, of course, go to my website if you want, which is now get inner clarity.
Get
So
inner
that's
clarity. Is it getinnerclarity.com?
getinnerclarity.com.
Okay.
And so you could just think like, oh, I mean, for me, I was like, what do I want? I want to get inner clarity because I definitely had inner confusion.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, I was really tired of inner confusion. I wanted to get inner clarity. And so that's my website, getinnerclarity.com. And, I'm always happy just to even have a conversation with someone to say like, am I a right fit? Because, different things are right for different people. So we can always just have no cost, just a conversation to say like, is the way I work and what you want a good match?
Yeah.
And I have a lot of information on my website, Get Inner Clarity. But I love to work with people who are really kind of on that spiritual exploration path.
Yeah.
Who maybe they know there's something more, but they're not sure what it is, or have already started on that path, but they want to know like, what are those, where's my next step? Or they're struggling with some challenges in their life and we get to call in their guides and give them messages. It's just so much fun.
That's so amazing. I love all of that. I think it's a beautiful thing when we find our people, because I just think like not everybody's meant for everybody, but like who we are meant to find somehow, some way we do. And I find that fascinating and beautiful all at the same time and quite delightful, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's just so good. What an amazing journey and story. I love the progression of, I just keep like hearing and seeing what you were saying about, I started with people pleasing and I needed to find myself. Right. And then literally you found yourself and spirit was like, no, you need to surrender yourself.
Right, exactly. And then, can you imagine how much I fought that? Oh my gosh. First? I was like, yes. I literally would say, I just found myself.
I 100% can. Yes. and then from there, it was like, okay, you've done both. Now we get to braid it all together and we get to create this beautiful tapestry that is human and divine. And we get to play together. We get to be inquisitive together. We get to be curious together and we get to be creative together. Yeah. And that is like such a beautiful, I just love the sequencing of that, which maybe that's such a logical way to put it. But I just love the idea that you had to lose control to find yourself.
Yep.
And then you found yourself and you were invited to surrender yourself. And really, to me, that just screams build trust. Like, because I talk about trust all the time. And like building self-trust is one of the best things you can do for yourself. And that self-trust for me also comes with divine trust, right? Like they're together. And then doing that and then swimming into the other like area where you get to play together. You get to call yourself back, but your authentic self, right? Like you get to call your divine self, your true self into the picture. And then with source, with divine, with God, with creator, you get to then suddenly co-create something that I will say requires surrender and trust and your full self. Yeah. It's just like, it's such I've never really thought about it in that way, but when you said it, it's amazing. And the other thing I keep thinking about when you say bowing, I don't know if you do chakra things, but all I keep thinking is like, we're placing our third eye on, we're touching our third eye to earth to connect with like that intuitive connection. Our divine crown chakra is, pointed in a different direction than it usually is when you're bowing. I don't know. They're just so, and you open your whole backside body, your back chakras, which are normally.
You know what? Honestly, I never thought about it that way, but you're absolutely right.
There's so much of our energy that shifts when we bow. And then the connection to the intuitive third eye, just to me, I don't know. There's so much about that symbolically and also like physically representationally is different than how we're usually showing up in the world.
Right. It is. And it was like a real, I grew up Jewish and now I'm doing this like Sufi, Muslim-y kind of like bowing down thing. Believe me, I had my, my own struggles with it at first.
Yeah.
But when you look at the inner, if you get away from the outer, and you look at like the inner is love.
Yeah.
The core is, even bowing down, which was a challenge for me. I wasn't brought up bowing down, but when you really bow down, it's like from love. And it's like, oh, I trust and I love so much. Like my podcast is Trust Your Wisdom, right? Well, why is it Trust Your Wisdom? Because like that was my challenge, was to like actually trust that what I was getting was real. And yet over time I learned to trust it.
Yeah. And there's something about the pause for reverence and sacredness that is just such a beautiful thing. For me, the bowing down came in. I started in Thai massage training, which is a Buddhist practice,
Mm.
or has Buddhism in it, within it. And my teacher in Thailand, we said, morning prayers and bowed. And every time, you touch your head to your third eye to the earth. And there's just something about that is, I don't know. It's just there's so many layers to it. We could probably do a whole nother podcast just on the energetics of and the experience of what it feels like to really surrender to the bowing.
Yeah, but exactly. No, you're exactly right. There is something very powerful and it feels mystical, like
Mhm.
centuries
Yeah.
or longer. There's something about that, where you let go of control to a certain degree. You're like, okay, I'm not in control. There's something I am bowing down and trusting.
Yeah.
There's something here for me, that I'm being supported, because it's a vulnerable position.
hmm
And
And there's a
yet,
layer of intention within it. And maybe that's just because, like, my traditional upbringing was very conservative Christian. And that when I started doing the Thai massage and going, the first time I went to Thailand, when I came back, I found myself compelled. I wanted to do the bowing thing in church. And it was like, well, I can't do that. Nobody else is doing that here. Like, this doesn't work. But it was just such an interesting, fascinating, I think the process of, I don't know, it feels more intentional to me to bow than it does to like fold my hands. And folding my hands is a beautiful practice too. And it is very intentional for me, but it didn't used to be. I don't know. I just find all of the how things shift and evolve is a beautiful thing.
and what's been really interesting, so I joined the, even with all of this Sufi work and other work, I still joined this temple because we're still Jewish. I had, I'm like a multi, I don't think any religion, me personally, I don't think any religion has the core on truth. I think that the
Me too.
truths that are at the center of all of them is more powerful than any one.
Yes.
But there's the social aspect, there's the cultural aspect, all sorts of things. And at our temple, we started bowing down with like our foreheads on the ground. Amazing.
Yeah.
And that was so powerful for me to like kind of weave together all of these. I'd been doing that for the Sufi path, but to actually also do that in the Jewish path was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, I feel like we've covered a whole lot, and I feel like we could definitely do a part 2 here sometime down the road. If you're up for that, I'm up for
Totally.
that.
I love this conversation.
And then I think before we wrap up, I want to invite you, if you have anything else, if there's one last little sort of piece of, maybe it's a download, maybe it's a channel, I don't know, but if there's just something else that you feel called to say before we wrap this up.
Okay, that's a fun invitation. So let me just like do a little quick tap in to see if there's like a message for you or message for your whole audience.
Yeah.
So as I tap in, and what I'm doing, I don't know, I feel compelled to share what I'm doing. I don't usually, but I'm really lining myself up, and I know people can't see it, so I'm going to describe it like vertically. Check horizontal or vertically. So imagining sort of the crown of my head is connecting to the light above. And then I'm bringing that through me and right into my heart. Now, of course, it can go through our whole beings and down to the ground. But right now I'm feeling just bringing that to my heart. And from my heart place, I feel this openness. And so I actually am sending out a vibration to everyone in your audience, everyone who's listening. I hope you're receiving it, because this is beautiful love energy. And if you can, even just a small amount, open your heart to receiving. And this is not me, my personality, my love energy. I am calling in this beautiful white light. And it's kind of sparkly, is how it feels, like a little shiny white light, and asking for that white light to heal you in whatever way you need healing. And so if you're willing to open to receiving it, it is very pure. It is only here for your highest. And that this is a transmission that can bring love and joy, openness, possibilities, creativity. These are the qualities of the light that I am sending, and that I hope that all of you are receiving and that it just makes your day that much more wonderful. Oh, oof. I hope you felt that,
That
Michelle.
was
That felt really
amazing.
good to me.
That's so good. Thank you. Thank you for taking a chance and just blindly booking this this recording and for sharing this time, space, heart, love with each other today. I appreciate you so much. I really enjoyed our conversation and I hope we get to do it again.
I would love to. I absolutely enjoyed it too, and I hope that you just keep. I'm just an appreciation of you for having this and for being such a wonderful host. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. That's a wrap for today. Bye.
Bye.